Hello, everybody. Welcome to your time management class that you will have here. And we'll be talking a lot about time management throughout the entire term. To me, this is one of the most important skills that you can learn because it's a skill that is going to carry with you throughout your entire life, into your work life, into your family life, into your personal life, everywhere. You will be time managing things, and it's a very important skill for college. So here we go. Why we need time management. First and foremost, it's important to know why we are talking about this. And the reason why we are talking about this is that time management is correlated with success in college. Now, whenever someone cites a study, what you want to do is you want to know what they measured. And sometimes people define success in college by finding your passion. Others define it by staying in school and completing school. So success in college is defined by the researcher. So that is very important. In this particular study, college success is defined by the GPA, so by the grade point average. That is how they measured college success here, okay? So in order to get a higher GPA, this study, which had hundreds of students in it, they said time management was number one, followed by number two, abstract thinking, followed by number three, study time. Then last but not least, there were those who got up early, okay? So time management, abstract thinking, study skills, and getting up early. Those were all correlated with higher GPAs. Now, what does that mean? It can mean different things for different people. But as someone who has their doctorate, who was in higher education for 8.5 years, to me, what that meant is college is hard. There's a lot of things that you'll struggle with, but hopefully you will be choosing a major and a career path that you love. You should not major in something that you don't really at least like a lot. So when you can do that, you have a natural inclination for that thing. Now, you may love that thing, but it still may be super duper hard, maybe hecka hard, but you still love that thing, and that love and that passion make you want to study it. So yes, college can be hard, but a lot of it is that there's just a ton of work. There's so much work, and then when you put schoolwork on top of family, on top of work, there's so many things to balance, and that's why time management is so important. Abstract thinking is important because you need to develop yourself in the thing that you are studying so that it can work like that your brain just is able to be very flexible, because abstract thinking helps with that flexible thinking. And so that is an important piece too. So abstract thinking, which you'll learn in English 100, you'll learn in English 221 and 220, all of those second term English critical the thinking classes. They may be in philosophy as well. But also, you will learn abstract thinking in math. And I know if you're like me, math not really my favorite subject, but I took, altogether, it was about 2 years of statistics. And I'm really glad I did, because statistics helps you to think in a critical way. It's that whole thing that I just said about college success. I didn't learn that in my English class. I didn't learn that in my psychology class. I learned that in my stats class. And that is where you start to integrate all of these things. And abstract thinking is a big part of that. Next, of course, is study time. It is good to have time management, but you just can't have work, school, and family you have to also have study time and really go and do that study time. It's not like, oh yeah, I have 3 hours on Sunday that I'm going to do that, and then you watch a football game instead. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. That's good time management, but you actually have to go and study, just not plan it. And sometimes that can be the hard part. Next is getting up early. And for those of you who may be watching this during a quarantine, which is when I'm making it, you may be sleeping in, you may be going to bed late, but having that consistency of time is so important. And waking up early is one of those things that helps you to be consistent. Next, why we need time management. Procrastination. Procrastination is one of those things that you have something and you put it off and you put it off and you put it off. And that can be caused by low motivation, by perfectionism, by feeling overwhelmed, all of those things that can make you just kind of talk you out of doing the thing that you have to do. For example, I'll use this as an example. I've been putting off making this video for a long time because I wanted all the slides to be perfect. And then I wanted to have makeup on. I mean, I'm a little teeny tiny square, as you can see. I don't really need makeup, but I overthought this. I thought, okay, I'll wear my Berkeley shirt because this is college success. And that's where I did my overthought the whole thing. Perfectionism definitely contributed to my procrastination in the thing that I am doing now. But I know in the end of this, I'm going to feel so good because this was already done. And I'll just put it up and you guys will watch it and hopefully it's very helpful. Okay, next thing, why is time management important? You have to think through the distractions. So thinking through not only when you'll study, but where you will study too. So for example, I have not turned off my phone. You know what? Oh, this is so good. My phone isn't even in here. I do have this iPad here. I'm gonna put it down. I'm not gonna look at it during this time because I want to minimize my distractions. And turning off your phone, turning off certain things on your computer, whatever you need to do to focus in on the topic and the chore at hand, really important. So this video, I'm going to move myself over here. Hi. This video, the objectives of the video are to consider different aspects of time management, to complete a time management master grid. So what you're going to do is I'm going to have you plot out when you're in classes, when you're going to do your classes, because some of you may be doing classes online and they may not have a time on Zoom when they meet. It may just be plan 9 hours to do this class. You will plan those 9 hours out so it's consistent every single week. What you want is your brain to go on automatic pilot. If it is Monday at 10 a.m., what am I doing? I am doing statistics. I already know that. And so that is how you want to train yourself in that way. So you're going to complete a master grid. Then you will complete a time management grid for this next week. So it will include the things on the master grid as well as the things that are specific to the week coming up. And you'll be sending me both of these so that I can check them out, give you some feedback on them. And what I really hope to see on these is personalizing it from week to week. So it's just not enough to put stats, so study time. You're going to put stats, go through chapter 3 notes, prepare for test, understand the stats sheet that I can use on the exam, going through and being as specific as possible, because remember, it's just not time management, it's study time too, and knowing what you're going to study once you're there. So completing those 2 grids, and also we will return to this next week, but I want you to begin to think about a system of time management that's going to work for you. Some of you may have a device that you use. Some of you may do old school paper. Some of you may print out the grid that I've included in this section. Everybody is different. I want you to personalize it so you actually use it. You gotta use it. All of you need time management. Time management is like clothes. We all need to wear clothes, but we all have a different style. And so you need to find out what style of time management works for you. So I'm going to move myself back over here. So breaking down time management. There are 3 ways to kind of think about that. One is monthly planning. The other is breaking it down week by week. And the other is day by day. So I have a calendar that has the things that I know are going to happen in that month. Those can include birthdays, it can include a test, it can include when a project's due, it can include weddings, anniversaries, family parties that you might have, all of that stuff. Then from there, you break it down week by week. What do you have to do that week? Maybe you have a test one day, so you know you have to study for that test the day before, or you have a study group. So any number of things that would go into that week, you want to make sure are down there. But then you do day by day. And to me, the day by day part is so important, especially if you are doing classes online, especially if you are in a situation like quarantine. It's so easy to get distracted, and that's why it's so important to plan. The more distracted you are, the more important that it is to plan everything out. I've had so many friends who have ADHD who plan out every second of their life because that helps them to stay organized. They know that if they get away from that kind of structure, that they may go into a whole other area. And it's important to remember with ADHD that it's not that you can't attend, it's that you attend to everything. And so if you can structure it so that you can focus in on that one thing and you already know it, it is Monday morning, you wake up, you know that you have to read chapter 3 in your English book because you already planned that out. And that came from the weekly planner because you already put all those things in from the syllabus into the calendar. Okay, so what to include in your time management. So this is the kind of thing that I'm going to have you do for a master grid. So much of these would go on that. Some of these may go on your weekly, but in general, or your, so it's your week to week. Sorry, let me say that all over again. Some of these will be on your master grid. Some of this will be on the grid that you do for the next week, okay? So things like class schedule, things like work schedule, if those things are constant, then you want that on the master schedule. I realize for many of you, your work schedule may not be a constant. So I want you to plan this out as best you can, okay? Maybe put in a dotted line what you think your work schedule will be. Also include any family obligations. If you know that you have to pick up your little brother from school every Tuesday and Thursday because your mom works, then write that into your grid and write that into every grid of every Tuesday and Thursday every time so that you know for that hour you're not going to be able to schedule any work, any study groups, any of that stuff. So really important to know and to assess what your family obligations are because family is very important. And I don't think that we schedule enough time to integrate those things into our lives. And for many of us, we may have more obligations of taking care of grandparents, of our own kids, of our siblings, or of our parents. So it's important to plan that stuff out. Now, exams and projects, that is not going to necessarily be every week unless you have a teacher who teaches history and is like, every Wednesday there's going to be a quiz. Then go ahead and put that in. But most exams and projects are not due on a weekly basis. But you should put in there, because for me, I will have you finish everything by a certain date. So I want to make sure that you put that date down. Stuff for Counseling 35 is due on this day. So make sure that you do that kind of stuff, all right? Also, any clubs and meetings. If you are not part of a club yet, you may want to look into that. There's so many clubs at LMC, and it's a really great way to connect with community. It's a great way to find out information about the major that you're in. It's a great way to find out about colleges. So there's so many things, so many benefits that you can receive from being in a club that I really encourage you to take a look at that. There is a page on the LMC website that has clubs, so please take a look at that. Maybe, you know what, I may forget about this by the time I post this video, but 1 point extra credit if you go to the club page and you send me information about a club that you might be interested in, or maybe 1 or 2 clubs that you might be interested in. Next, any important dates. So for example, the first 2 weeks of the fall and spring term is usually, and this is an exception for some classes that are short term, but the first 2 weeks are usually a time when you can add or drop classes. And when I say drop, I mean drop. It's like they never existed. Poof, they're gone. But you want to be mindful of when these add drop periods are. So important dates like that, including birthdays, including your partner's birthday, whatever it is that you need to know, write that stuff down. Okay, here we go. This is a time management grid, and this is the grid that I will include in the class. And this is a grid that not all of you might use, but I want you to start with this. This is kind of a building block, and from here you can choose what's going to work for you. But for the next couple weeks, this is what we're going to do. So it has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to talk about what a schedule might look like. I'm going to give you kind of a fake schedule so that we can see. There is a formula for how much time you need to study. Not all classes may require that much time, but you should plan that much time. And when I am planning for this class, I am planning to fill up all of that time. So don't think you're like, it's just about studying and college success. That sounds easy. There's going to be work, because it's just not learning about it. It's the application of it. It is the doing of it. It is the reviewing of it. College just isn't busy work. It is reviewing and applying it to your own life so that you can make it your own. As a college professor, I don't want you to regurgitate, to just repeat what I'm saying. I want you to integrate this information, swim it around in your head, and produce something that is specific to you. And that is what this grid is going to represent. This is you doing time management, not you doing time management so you can pass this class. I want you to do it the way that works for you. Some of you might have lots of colors. Every single work thing will be in pink, and every single school thing will be in blue. Whatever you need to do, do it, okay? All right, so first of all, so everybody get out a grid. You can do it on your tablet. You can do it print it out. You can do it on the computer, whatever works for you. But I want you to have some tangible thing that you write on and that you get this done, okay? So we're gonna do this together now. What are the static things? What are the things that you know are going to happen all the time? And this may include school schedule. So write down every class. So for example, this class, we meet in fall of 2020 on Wednesday nights. Put that time down. If I'm using this video again after that, we may not meet at that time. So make sure you know what time we meet, all right? If your class does not meet at a specific time, put in the times where you will do that class. Will you spend 3 hours on your English class on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to make sure that you have all of that time down? So schedule even the classes that are not a time period that you have to be aware of, okay? I know some teachers are teaching online classes that have a Zoom time, so make sure you put those, but also make sure you plan time throughout your week for the other ones too. Next, put in your work schedule. You may work 3 hours every day, put that down. If you're not sure what your work schedule is, put down what you think it might be at this point, and then you can always change that around. Any family or religious obligations. If you go to church on Wednesdays and Sundays, please, please, please put that down and make sure that you don't only do church 1 hour. Do getting to church or synagogue or mosque and then getting back home so that you know that that chunk of the service is the going to and the coming back from, okay? So some people, it may be that your Saturday or Sundays are just bam, they are religious service. Others of you, it may be 1 hour and that's it. Or it may, no, and it may not be any religious service. But that brings us to the next thing, which is self-care. Whether it's your spiritual or your emotional needs, self-care is so important. For some of you, you may need to go to the gym every other day. You may need to go for a walk every day. Those are the things that are really important. And for me personally, my self-care is watching Laverne and Shirley and taking naps. That is really important to me, and I make sure that I schedule my day around that because I know 3 o'clock, I'm gonna need a nap. Okay, so this is a static schedule that I included here. This was not necessarily mine, but I wanted to give you an idea of what would be included there. This particular student, they are taking Counseling 35, Astronomy, and Stats. That means that Stats is 6 credits because they are taking it with the support class. Counseling 35 is 3 credits, and Astro is 3. So that is 12 credits all together. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 12, they are in their stats class. That is not their study time. That is the time that they are spending on stats, like that, okay? Then you have Astro, which is Thursday nights for 3 hours, and Counseling, which is 1.5 hours in this case. And then it's important to know that that time needs that there's going to be other times to watch videos like this, which is not within that time on Wednesday nights. So the next thing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at when to schedule that kind of work time, okay? So also, that's work in school. This person needs to go to the gym a little bit every day. Sunday they're off, that's okay. But every day for their own self-care, they go to the gym. Also, they help take care of the grandma and they go shopping for them every Monday. So that is in there. And then they go see grandma. So that takes up most of Monday morning. And then from 4 to 6, they help the family with dinner, and then they eat dinner. So that is 2 hours every day that they need to make sure that they have set so that they know that they don't have any homework there. They can't do anything there. It is family time for them. And of course, work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so again, we're doing this all together. This is the flexible time that you have of things. Like it can get done here or it could get done there, but it needs to get done, okay? It needs to get done. So this is time to check your classes. So schedule time to be in your online classes. So for a 3-unit class, that means that you have 3 hours a week of that class plus 9 hours of homework. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why 9 hours of homework. There's a formula that I mentioned earlier. We're going to talk about that formula and why that is so important. And we'll get into all the homework time in a minute. But right now, I want you to put down when you will do the class time. When will you watch videos for Counseling 35? When will you, if you're taking English 100, those classes are not usually Zoom times if they're online. When will you set aside to do that work of that 3-hour class? Because if you were in a typical classroom, not an online classroom, you would be going 3 hours a week. So you'd probably be doing an hour and a half on Monday and an hour and a half on Wednesday. Put some time in to do an hour and a half and an hour and a half somewhere on your calendar, okay? Okay, then next. These are the things that kind of come and go. This is not going to go on your static schedule. This will go on your more personalized one. The first one, this one, is your static one. In a minute, we're going to look at, take this as the base, and then we're going to flip it so it's your personal one for that particular week. So in this one, in the personal one, you are going to put family and friend obligations. Hey, it's Jenny's birthday on Saturday. That means that we're going to go out. We're going to party. I'm going to need to sleep in the next day. You got to think all that stuff through. Then there are assignments. What are the assignments and the tests of that particular week? What is the homework assignment? What you have to read? What you have to write? What reflections do you have? And what tests and quizzes are coming up? Are there any projects that are due? Any papers that are due? Think through all that stuff for the personal assignment. And you can't forget self-care. So self-care, thinking about if you're going to do a mani-pedi one day. Some of you may not be into that. Maybe half of you are not into that. But if you are a Raiders fan or a 49er fan, and you know Sundays are the day that is a big football day. Many people just plan on not doing anything on Sundays. So depending on what your interests are, you should schedule some time in for that self-care. Now, this is where it gets a little wacky, because look at this. We went from the static one over here, okay? Not everything was filled in, to pretty much everything being filled in. So we still have the gym, shopping with grandma, dinner. So the yellow, the dark blue, the light blue, and the purple, those are all our static things. Then the orange is the study time. Here, I'll put my picture up there so you see it. This is study time right here. And so thinking about how many hours of study time you need. Now, We're going to go to this slide real quick, and then I'll come back to this. Move myself back up here. How many hours do I need to study per week? The general rule is if it's 1 unit, that's 3 hours of studying outside of the classroom. Now, why I'm stressing that so much is this is a video that you're watching. This video doesn't count as study time. This is class time. The assignments that I give you after this are your study time. So it's a little bit, I don't know what the right word is for an online classroom. It's not super clear. It's more like a big poof, like, yeah, it's a little bit of the class, a little bit of the study time. So it's not super clear what's what always when it's online, but you should generally think about 1 unit equals 3 hours of studying. So I want you to go through this and put and you can just use a little piece of scratch paper here and write down how many units you have. If you have this class, that's at least 3 credits. So that means that you'll have the 3 hours of class plus 9 study hours for this class. And study hours may mean that I give you a test and you study for the test. It could be that you work on a project. It could be that you're reading. It could be any number of things so that you are successful in that class. And to me, success isn't a GPA, but it's what you get out of the class too. It could be a grade, but it is also what you are taking. You are investing time, you may be investing money. There's so much that you may be investing your heart and soul into this. And I really hope that you find something in college that you feel you can invest your heart and soul into. And I hope this class is a little bit of that. So you want to make sure that you spend the time doing the homework so you get the most out of this process, okay? So what you do is you take the units for this term. Let's say that is 13. You times it by 3. Bam, 39 hours a week of study time. So let's go back to our grid over here. Don't look at that yet. Okay, here we go. So I got the study time in orange here by doing this. Math is 6 units times 3, 18 hours. Then counseling, like I said, 3 units, 9 hours of studying. And Astro, same thing, 3 units and 9 hours of studying. 12 units times 3, 36 hours of homework, okay? And that is over and above the 12 hours of class that you'll have. So that's why it's so important to think about when you're going to study. And personally, when I did this, it was really hard to find that time for studying. I'm not sure if this was a real schedule, if I would work as much as I would here. I might tell my family I can help you on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but Thursday, I'm gonna have to prepare for my Astro class. So my brother's gonna have to do the work, which my brother probably wouldn't have helped out. But I'm just saying that is something that that is something that you may want to consider there. So thinking about the number of hours that you'll do. So in your static schedule, you know what to do there, but now in your more personalized one, looking at where your study time is, and also week by week, you may have Jenny's party on Saturday that you may need to plan for. So you want to look for those kinds of things. For those of you that work, that may actually help you to stay on task, because the fuller that your schedule is, then you just go boom, 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 boom. But many of you, because of the quarantine, may not have a really tight schedule, so you need to make it yourself. And if you make it yourself and you know bam, wake up, I'm gonna go for a walk. Then I'm gonna do breakfast. Then I am going to do my 1.5 hours on Monday of my English class, so that you plan it all out so that you know what you're gonna do at a particular time. So like I said, make sure you know how many hours you are going to study, but then every week, look at your syllabus, look at your Canvas, and know what is being assigned, what homework there is, what readings there are, what reflections, what papers, everything. Put it down on a list and put the date next to those lists so subjects just don't pop up and you forget, like, oh my God, I have a reflection that I forgot about. So take the time to do this, because if you take the time to do this, and maybe an hour out of every study time that you do every week is going through a syllabus and planning. When I was in college, I would lay everything out on my room floor, on my bedroom room floor. I would watch my favorite show, and I would plan for the next week. And I would make sure that the time that I had during that show, that I had everything done by that time that show was over. So I knew what assignments I had, what tests were coming up, where and when I was going to study. For many of us, we may not study well at a desk in our room. We may need to go somewhere and have an environment that's a little bit different. So consider that as well, and even put down when you study where that's going to be. But make a list of what those things are so that you can be sure to track those during the week. Okay, so this is a little bit nicer than the other one. This is the static one. This is kind of a hybrid of the static and the personal one. So this is, let me move myself down here. This person has English 95 and Math 29 and Counseling 32. All planned out, and also learning skills, which isn't offered anymore, but we will put that in anyway. So they have these classes, and in this case, these are actual classes in a classroom, okay? And so from there, knowing how many hours that they need to study. And so all of these are plotted out here, along with, oh, it's Friday night, I'm gonna go study at Javarama so that I feel like I'm actually getting out. And then looking at the yellow parts here as some of the free time. So thinking about what you might do at those times. And having that be part of self-care. So what I want you to do this week is to, number one, complete a master time management grid that includes static tasks. Complete a time management grid for this coming week. So if we are going to meet on Wednesday, I want you to think about a time management grid for the week after. Some of you might want to start on Sunday. Some of you might start on Monday. Whatever works is fine. I believe that the grid that I have starts on Monday. So just do next week. But doing a static one and then transferring that onto the personal one. So you have two. And one is kind of a repeat of the other. So the personal grid for this next week will include assignments. It will include family parties. It will include everything that you will be doing next week. I want it as complete as possible. Put in showers, put in nap times, put in bed times, put in your favorite TV shows, put in whatever you need so that you plan all of that out. I hope that you follow it next week, but you may not. But we're going to experiment with this and see. Just being aware of your time will help you to have better time management. Also, complete a to-do list where you list the following. List due dates for upcoming class assignments and projects and tests. List readings that you have to do. List other school-related things that you have. So this may be handing in financial aid papers. This may mean dropping or adding a class. It may mean meeting with a counselor. It could mean any number of things. So make sure that you put these down. This is the stuff I need to get done next week. Also put in any business, work, family obligations, family barbecues, whatever that is. And that concludes this video. What I'm going to do is have some office hours for this week where you can meet with me and we can talk about any questions you have here. I'll likely do this after our regular class meeting time. So make sure that you work on this before you come to class, okay? That will help to manage some of your time that you need to get this done ASAP so that you can ask me those questions, all right? Because this will be due on the due date on Canvas. So make sure that you are aware of that. And with that, I hope that this has convinced you that time management is important and has given you some ideas. Very soon in class, we will talk about personalizing this even more to looking at what system's going to work for you. There are some apps, and I will link to some of the time management apps. Some of you might use your phones to set alarms, to do lots of things. Even on some phones, you can track, like when you drive up to your house, there is a reminder that will go off that says, check your counseling class date for your final project. Like, it will remind you based on location. So there's lots of features that may fit you, or you might just do plain old paper, and that is fine too. You want to go with what works with your brain, not against your brain. Everybody's going to have a different time management system, and in classes to come, we will have you share yours with the rest of the class. Thank you for checking this out, and have a time management